Hello and welcome to Freenet CS. Today I want to talk about how you can use Visual Studio Code, or in short VSCode, for your beginner or even for your professional C and C++ development. First of all, I assume you have already installed VSCode. If that's not the case, there as a note, VSCode is open source and a free tool for all three operating systems and hence can be used for everybody. So let's go into VS Code. To be able to use VS Code for C and C++ development, we have to install certain extensions. For that, we can click here on the extensions button and then we can type into the search field my username, because I've prepared you a lot of extensions that are very useful. So we can type in Freenet, F-R-A-N-N-E-C-K 94. And here you have to install the C++ extension pack. An extension pack is just a collection of single extensions. So for example, here is also the official C++ extension by Microsoft listed. Also the CMake extension. Here also CMake tools by Microsoft. And many more extensions that we can use in a moment. So first of all, click on the install button and wait until it's installed. So then we can create a test repository or a test directory here to see how we can now use VS Code. And here is now, let's say, the decision between, do we want to use the CMake project or do we not want to use the CMake project? In this video, I assume we won't use the CMake project, but I will make another video how we can then use CMake here in VS Code. So let's assume we just want to create a simple small program containing of, let's say, 2 source files and 1 header file, for example. So I've already prepared here this simple program. We have a main file where we call a function from our library, let's say. So here we have a lib.cc and a lib.h file. But the same would also apply to C. So we have just a simple print to the console here. First of all, I would recommend you to call the following. So here you can go to View and then Command Palette. And here you can type in generate C++ config files for a C++ project, or you could call generate C config files for a C project. So since we are now here in a C++ project, I will click on this and then by one of the extensions I made, some configuration files will be created here. So what we will have here is a git ignore file, for example, and also a clang format and clang tidy file. These are some tools that you can use in a modern professional C++ project, let's say. If you want to learn more about clang tidy and clang format, I could do a video in the future. Also here, and that is really important, a local.vscode folder is created where we have a settings file. These settings are applied to our current opened workspace, to our current project, let's say, where I've created all important settings for the editor in general or for C and C++. Then also here we have a launch.json file, which is the debug configuration if you want to start the debugger. And CCPP properties file just defines or tells the C++ extension by Microsoft which compiler we want to use, which C or C++ standard we want to use, etc. So after creating these config files, now we can use my wonderful extension C++ runner. And if you look down into the blue status bar, you should at least see a yellow message where it says, please select the folder you want to compile. So this CCPP runner, exactly this here, can either compile a single source file into an executable, or you can compile all files in one directory. And since we have multiple source files here, we have to, let's say, compile all source files in the current directory. And then also this extension will link these compiled source files into one single executable. So for that, down below in the blue status bar, we have here the selection which folder we want to select. So where are the source files located we want to compile. Currently, I only have this root directory, so I only have one option here in this drop-down list. Then here we can select between we want to compile in debug or release mode. So let's just keep it to debug mode. And then here, this little gear icon down below in the blue status bar is for start compiling. Note, this extension expects that you have at least installed GCC, Clang or MSVC on your computer. So for example here, I'm using my G++ installation, and as we can see here, the libcc file is compiled, then the main cc file is compiled, and both files are then linked together into one executable. How can we execute this executable? It's easy just by the play button down below in the blue status bar, and then we see a hey in the console. If you want to start the debugger, you can just click here on this small bug icon, also in the blue status bar. So don't be confused by, for example, the play button here at the top right corner. This is a different button, let's say, or a different mechanism. So let's click on this, and then we should see in a moment that the debugger will stop here. And then you can just debug your code. Maybe there is a note, as I said, you can also use the MSVC, also the standard Visual Studio compiler on Windows. For that, you have to go into your settings file, and there you have to set, where we have it, here, this use MSVC to true. Then the extension will search for your MSVC installation on your computer, which is, for example, this path in my case. So Visual Studio 2022. And then if we rerun the compilation here, you can see that indeed the Visual Studio compiler was used. So this is how you can compile and work with smaller projects. And as I said, in an upcoming video, I will talk about how we can use CMake in VSCode. If you want to learn more about C++ development and maybe also CMake, I have a great deal for you from my Udemy courses. You can look into the video description there. I have a link to a list of all my English Udemy courses, where you can definitely learn a lot about C++ and CMake. And in these courses, I also use VSCode all the time because I just love this editor. Okay, then until the next video, have a great day. Bye bye.